Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Data Show. I'm your host, Chris Greco. For the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about data, how to go get it, how to analyze it, different types of studies, funny and otherwise. And the one study we're going to talk about today is appendectomies and bumps. So, what I decided to do is do a little bit of funny stuff. So, the funniest conglomeration of data studies that I have ever found has been from improbable.com, which is the home of the Ig Nobel Prizes. And interestingly enough, I mean, improbable.com, so it's a really easy website to go to, and they are funny stuff, really funny stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today is one of the Ig Nobel Prize winners and called appendectomies and bumps. So we sit back and we go, exactly what does that mean? So what we do is we go to the Ig Nobel Prize winners first, right? So we're gonna go to the excuse me, we're gonna go to these. Where is it? Here it is. Pain over speed bumps in diagnosis of acute appendicitis. Diagnostic accuracy study. Sorry. So basically, what we're going to talk about is that, right? And this was, what year was this? I think this was 2017. I think that's 2015. So 2015, they have all kind of prizes here. I mean, they're just hilarious. What doesn't kill you will only make you more risk-loving. Early life disasters and CEO behavior management prize. I mean, we'll talk about this type of stuff later, but I think this one hit me because it kind of hit me personally because back around, I'd say about 10, let's say 10, 15 years ago or so, my brother was visiting me, and he ended up having appendicitis. And so we were rushing to the hospital. And, I mean, he was doubled over in pain. And I felt so bad for him. And I mean, we got there at the hospital as soon as possible. And they basically left us in the waiting room. I mean, double in pain. All of a sudden, the pain stopped, and it turned out that it was actually uh, it was almost getting to that point of burst appendix. So that we went over plenty of speed bumps, and we were flying along the highway in Baltimore. So it was a very interesting situation. So I thought right away, oh, pain over speed bumps and diagnoses. So I decided to take a look at this. So the what you do is you go and you click on it, right? And when you click on it, it basically brings you right to the study. So it's kind of cool. So this is the BMJ, which I'm not sure what the BMJ is, but anyways, uh, probably like whatever it is, something medical journal. So this is the study, and it said it did 101 patients, aged 17 to 76 years, referred to the on-call surgical team for assessment of a possible appendicitis. So what they did was they had them do a survey, do all kind of interesting stuff. But the analysis includes 64 participants who had traveled over speed bumps on their journey to the hospital. 34 had confirmed histological diagnosis of appendicitis, 33 of whom reported increased pain over speed bumps. So, I mean, sensitivity was 97%. They actually did statistical tests on this. Now, the thing is, what I decided to do is I thought, well, I don't know if this is, it's probably not U.S. related. I don't think it is. But what I did was I thought, well, I'll go ahead and do, and this is 2012, so it's a little bit dated. But we'll take a look at this, and from a standpoint of, is 101 patients, right? Are 101 patients enough, considering how many people have appendicitis, how many people have appendectomies? So I looked and looked and looked and looked, and I finally found, a what did I find? I found the actual. I thought I did. I found. I found what looked to be the an actual data on how many appendectomies have occurred. Well, and I thought I had that. Dadgum. Um, I could have sworn I had that. Anyways, uh, so what I did was I downloaded that, and let's see if it actually pops up here. Hopefully it will. So no, it doesn't. Um, so what we'll do is we'll just search for it. We'll do our normal search, like a search. Say, okay, how many appendectomies? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, how many. Um, we'll just put in appendectomies. Appendectomies in the U.S. Right? And we'll put .gov here because I just want government websites, right? Appendectomy, NCBI, disease burden, appendectomy, population, laparoscopic appendectomy, appendectomy preparation procedure, Medline. I mean, I guess you could do your own appendectomy, but there was an actual, uh, the number of appendectomies. So number of appendectomies in the U.S. We'll put .gov here. Here it is. So this is what they call AHRQ. Now it's a .gov, Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. So I went there and I took a look at these different areas, and there's all kind of data here. This is basically statistics. So I mean, there is a lot of data. Maternal mortality, admissions to emergency departments during COVID-19, medical and dental, adult hospital stays while with operating room procedures by race. So you can see a lot. There's a lot of data that you can get here. Average employee insurance contributions, healthcare expenditures for treatment of mental disorders, health insurance deductibles. So I mean, I just kept on looking at this. I thought, wow, and mental disorder hotspots. So geographic variation in inpatient stays for 5 leading mental disorders. So for 2 years, I mean, and occurred in parts of Appalachia, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Southern California. So interestingly enough, I mean, you can actually get data from this. Substance use disorder inpatient stay hotspots, highest healthcare spenders, state variations in mental disorders. So there's a lot of hypertension. This is it. Hypertension hospitalization among Black Americans. So this is really interesting. Nearly 213 hypertension related hospitalizations among every 100,000 Black Americans. So this is something you can look at from the standpoint of what it is. And I will, let's just make sure that we have this so that you can take a look at this. And I'll put it down here at the bottom so that you have that. So asthma, spending and mental disorders, musculoskeletal systems, hospital admission, emergency, antidepressant, dental and medical visits, appendectomies among children. So we're going to take a look at this. It's 2018. It has it twice. Interesting. So 0 to 17. So we'll take a look at this overview of operating room procedures during inpatient stays. So look at this thing that they have here. I mean, these are hospitalization stays, right? I mean, this is pretty amazing when you really think about it. And different aspects, number of stays, hospital stays, percentage. But I'm looking for appendectomies, right? And I realize it's may only be for kids. Female patients age 18 to 74, OR procedures. Here's an appendectomy right here, 190,000. Okay, it's 190,000. So when we take a look at this, area and we say, okay, what is it that you have, right? You have appendectomy, 190,000. So, and this was 2018. This is female patients 18 to 74 years, patient with stays billed private insurance, and patients living in wealthiest communities represent high oral procedures. Okay, so let's take a look at this. 20 most frequent OR procedures accounted for more than half of OR procedures in 2018. So 14 million out of 14 million is 190,000 appendectomies. Now they said there were 101 participants. Now is 101 participants a good measure, a good sampling for 190,000? right? It's 190,000. So this is, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's all that much, but 190,000 is 190,000, right? So what I did was I went to this, it's called Real Stats. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this. Under miscellaneous, it has statistical power and sample size. So I have this, and it says, okay, one sample normal. We'll do one sample normal here. And so select one of the following options, power or sample size. So I want to see the sample size here. So my effect size, we're going to say 0.2. That's a normal effect size. Everyone says that that's too small. Effect size is not the same as an R status, like an R stats. So basically, it wouldn't be a Pearson R or R correlation or something like that. It's effect size, more like Cohen's D. And if you know the difference between that, that's fine. If not, maybe we'll discuss that on another show. Statistical power 0.8, that's normal statistical power. Number of tails 2, and that's fine. We'll leave it at 2 at this point in time. And my alpha, which is my type 1 error, is going to be set at 0.05. So that's what we're going to have. Now, if we do that, my sample size should be 197 if I want a 0.2 effect size. The sample was 101. So the sample is too low. Now, if I increase the sample, if I increase the effect size and hit it, my sample is going to come down, right? But that also has an issue with the effect size itself. So now instead of a 0.8, like a 0.8 R, Pearson R, which is an 80%, 80% 0.80 correlation factor, I'm now down to 0.70. So, but that sample size is fine. So that's how you sit down and figure this stuff out. Is that really a sample size that's gonna be it or not? But the interesting about it is that this is a funny one, and I think it's really important to talk about funny stuff. So I think we're going to go ahead and make that happen. So the pain over speed bumps, right? So here's what they did. They did 64 participants, which would be way too small, even at the 0.3 effect size. Traveled over speed bumps on the journey. 34 had confirmed histological diagnoses. So what they did was they said, "Oh, when you traveled here, did you travel over speed bumps?" And it's interesting because they take into consideration speed bumps. Boom, that's it. Speed bumps. Did you have? Yes. Oh, I had pain going over the speed bump. Well, then that means that when you do take a statistical sampling of that, then it's statistically significant to say there's a correlation association between speed bumps and appendicitis. If you have pain over speed bumps, the chances are that you have appendicitis. So it says, conclusions: presence of pain while traveling over speed bumps was associated with an increased probability of acute appendicitis. As a diagnostic variable, it compared favorably with other features commonly used in clinical assessment. Asking about speed bumps may contribute to clinical assessment, could be useful in telephone assessment of patients, whatever else. And then it goes into the actual study, which is fantastic. Actually, it does do a good job. In fact, this illustration is good. So it goes into these different, as we did, prospective study at General Hospital in Buckinghamshire in the United Kingdom. Okay, so this is the UK. So in order to make this fair, because I did mine in US, right? So let's see if there's anything. We'll do a research, just quick research on appendectomies. Total appendectomies in the UK. So we'll do total appendectomy UK. Let's see if it says surgery and in numbers. Let's see if this does it. Number of surgeons training, appendicitis treatment, surgical operation procedure statistics. So let's take a look at this and see if maybe this has it, right? Because anything has to do with statistics, it might in fact have that. So we're going to go in there. At least 12 main sections, cataract surgery, number of surgical procedures. It's got all kind of stuff in here. So full article, number of surgical operations procedures. So we'll try to do that. Oh, this looks interesting. Maybe this is cesarean, cataract, hip. Nope, nothing there. Let's see if, so this is cataract surgery, cesareans. What I got here? I was looking up appendectomies. There they are. There they are. The appendectomy. So you can take a look at the appendectomies, right? Guanal hernias, fricative knee, fricative appendectomies. Here we go. Codes 47 varied. Frequency of the latter was higher in Belgium, Finland, and Germany. UK members, I think, if I'm not mistaken, let's see if we go to the Eurostat and see if the Eurostat will actually have us. Maybe it'll give us the chart. If it gives us the chart, then we can actually take a look at it. And we're just going to accept only that. Don't ask me again. Let's see if the Eurostat data browser. Yeah, right. Okay. So, this is, let's see if it actually gives us, if it gives us that, then it'll actually be good. Okay, so surgical procedures. Ooh, good. All right, so we have, should have UK in here somewhere. United Kingdom, here we go. United Kingdom. So, unfortunately, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's just it takes a little time for the data to come through, which makes sense actually. But this is what you want to get. You want to get to that point where you have this, right? Let's see if the line data will show me. So there's your line data. 12, nope. And part table, come on. So here we go. I guess it's very slow. All right, so we're gonna take this in here. So this is the United Kingdom. So United Kingdom, 3 million. Let's see. So what do we have here? So we should have appendix 5,000. Okay, so this is just performed, right? So let's see if they have a search here, and see if we can actually do searches on this. So let's see, map 2018. Nope. So basically, this is going to be pretty much useless to us. So that's it with that. Boom, done. So I would say, if you can always, it's a shame if you could make this come up enough so you could actually see it. So procedures per 100,000, appendectomies is per 100,000. Where is it? Germany, Belgium, Denmark, France, Austria, Netherlands. Doesn't have UK in here. Daggum. I don't see it. Okay, so anyways, this is what you would do. You would try like heck to get something in here that would make you take a look at this. That's just me. Czechia. These are hysterectomies. Large increase hysterectomies. Nope, it doesn't have. But the appendectomy, it doesn't have UK. Interesting. So I guess the UK would be different. Oh, because it's EU. Got it. And UK is not a member of the EU. All right, so that's problematic. So that's probably why it's point EU. Here we go. Current technical surgical practice emergency. How to healthcare. So there's ways of doing this. There's ways of trying to get this stuff. But as you can see, it's not a whole heck of a lot of ways of trying to get this data. But by getting this data, it would really help to make that work. I mean, the statistical power. But this is what we're talking about. Number of consultants, number of surgeon training, number of surgeons. So I guess the 4 biggest ones are hernias, hip replacement, knee replacement, gallbladder, and tonsillectomies. So those are the 4 major ones here. And you can see that this is 50,000 right here. So if you have 50,000, that means that you have, let's say it's less than 50,000 for appendectomies. If it's less than 50,000, so let's go through this again with a power sample, except this time what we'll do is we'll take the effect size, we'll make it 0.2, and what we'll do is this is going to be what we have. If we say sample size 197, still not good enough, But if we say 3, it's going to be 88. That sample size would be okay for 0.3 effect size. So that's basically what's going on with that, and that's why it's so important to sit back and say, okay, what exactly do we have, and what is it that we need? So that's the pain over the pain bumps aspect. But I mean, just the research alone. I mean, if you take a look, it's funny that they did this in 2009, 11 cases and 21 controls, so 32 people total in the UK. The sensitivity was 82%. I mean, we use our software package, get it, blah blah blah. But the bottom line is that when you're talking about this, we calculated that 100 to 150 participants in the main study would be sufficient to show a likelihood ratio greater than 1.8. Well, yeah, still you need about 100, you need almost 200 to make that work, and they're talking a likelihood ratio, but basically it's you need to have more than that. So that's, I mean, 101 patients were recruited in the study. Median age was 34. So, and let me talk about this just for a second. So they did speed bumps, right? Speed bumps only. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to put this up on the screen. What do drivers do before getting to a speed bump? Okay. I throw that out there. What do drivers do before getting to a speed bump? So I'm going to put this up there, right? So what do? I'm going to tell you what they do. If you see the speed bump and you know it's coming up, what do? You brake. Okay. When you brake before the speed bump, what happens? Well, there is what? Tension, right? Tension in the seat belt, right? Where does the seatbelt go along? The seatbelt goes along your pelvic region and goes across the right side of your pelvis area. Should be right side of your pelvis. But sometimes it comes up over your belt, right? So it's going to hit that side that hurts. When you do that, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to hurt. So, we sit back and we go, oh, it's a speed bump issue. Is it? Or is it the braking issue before you have the speed bump? So is it the speed bump or is it the brakes? So nobody did a study on the brakes. So nobody knows if braking is actually more of an issue than going over the speed bump. So in other words, you wouldn't need a speed bump. You just need a straight road. You need any type of road, and then just brake every once in a while. If you brake and a person like, ow, that hurts, is that an indication of appendicitis? Is that an indication the person needs an appendectomy? Again, when you do a study like this and you center on one thing only, you get rid of what they call confounding factors. And confounding factors is almost like when you talk about co-founding, right? So confounding factors have a problem because they exist at the same time as everything else exists. So you have all these factors that exist but are not taken into consideration whenever you do the study. So that's why it's very important to do that. And that's why the Ig Nobel Prizes are given for stuff like this, is because you take one thing and then that one thing you try to prove statistical significance. Why? There are so many other factors that go into that. And what we're trying to do, I think, as a society is try to get it down to one thing, right? Okay, we got one thing area, one thing talking about that. And again, I'm going to have this shameless plug. If you want to learn about this stuff, here's my book, right? Data Analyst Wants to Know a Bar Graph. You can get it here on Amazon. Not a problem. You can do it that way, or you can get it at lulu.com. Either one is fine with me. The thing is that it points out some of the absolute ridiculousness that goes into some of these areas, including research studies. So I know there was a lot of moving around trying to get things and everything else, but this is true to life. This is what happens when you try to search for data, when you try to search for things. It's really difficult at times trying to find data. I like the government websites in the US because the government websites in the US have a lot of those things. National Health System in the UK has them also at a small, smaller number, of course. So that's basically what I want to talk about with you today is point out basically a silly study, point out the improbable.com website. Please go to it. Have a good time with it. It is a blast to look at. Nobel Prize winners. So these things are just, if you want to look at something that's just, ridiculous research studies, go for it. It's so much fun to look at. And it's so much fun to look and to try to get an aspect as to what happened and to point out some of the flaws of the study. Yeah, they put some effort into the study. It's very evident they did. But is the study really important? Well, it pointed out some flaws, pointed out some limitations. And I think that's what happens. In fact, it's really interesting because at the end of the study, and this is really important also, is at the end of the study, you have some limitations. And these limitations are right here. The presence of pain over speed bump may have been overestimated in some patients owing to recall bias. In other words, did it really? Oh yeah, it really hurt, but did it really hurt? So the person who had pain over speed bumps would be more likely to recall having traveled over them, whereas those who had no worsening of pain would not necessarily remember them. So, we used histological diagnosis of appendicitis. 3 patients in our sample were treated with antibiotics for presumed appendicitis while waiting for surgery, but went on to make a full recovery. Interesting, right? So a system review published during recruitment to our study has shown antibiotics can lead to resolution of acute appendicitis. We made the decision to exclude these patients from analysis owing to lack of confirmed diagnosis. So, I mean, there's areas here says this about diagnostic sign over speed bumps and different aspects, but at least they did put the limitations, right? Standardized approach to gathering information from patients, that's their strength, by using a questionnaire and the obtaining of this information early in their admission and thus soon after their journey. Questionnaires can be, by their very nature, biased because of the way the questions are asked, because of the way the question, if there's any, it's also brought out in my book, which is A Data Analyst Walks Into a Bar Graph. So, I know people are probably kicking me off the air at this point in time, but this is what we're talking about, and this is what we have. And I think it's important. I do realize that it looks like I'm trying to find stuff out here, but bottom line is this: as a data analyst, as a person who is a data analyst or wants to be a data analyst, the number one thing is going to be you're going to have a lot of doors slammed in your face from the standpoint of searches. And what you have to do is you have to keep going until you find that data that you really need and you really want. I do that on my show, The Worldview, and I do it on this show, is you just keep plugging at it till you get the data that you need to be able to make that comparison. So on that note, I will bid you adieu. Even though that's French, I don't really like the French. But I mean, it's not that I don't like the French. It's that the French leaders just rile me at times. But I will bid you adieu, and please take a look at the book if you get a chance. If you do get it, please leave a review on Amazon. I really appreciate it. If you see this video on YouTube or on Roku TV, please, make the comments, suggestions, anything that you like, or better yet, one of the reasons that I had this show today is because of a question that was brought up on and on our email. This is the second show that I brought up where somebody brought up a question about data or statistics in the email. So I really, really appreciate that. And we will continue to try to answer any shows we can, any questions we can on our show. On that note, I will bid you again goodbye, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Data Show.